Alright, welcome back to Paul's Railroad, everyone, and welcome to our third video installment of creating this little N-scale shed. Today we will be finishing up this video series. We will be creating the beadboard effect for these walls, and we will finish up by creating some corner trim for these walls as well. So let's jump right in and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of everything we don't need that's going to be in our way visually. All we need is the shed body. So let's just hide everything else for now. Now we could work on, you can start with any wall if you want to, front, sides. I'm going to start with the back wall. It's a nice big canvas here. And I have decided that I'm going to create my indentations for the beadboard 2 millimeters wide, which is approximately 6 to 7 scale inches in N scale. So, well, actually I should tell you what we're doing. We're not actually putting boards on these walls. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be creating indentations into these walls to emulate the look of a beadboard. So as always, we are going to start with create a sketch, and we are going to sketch on the back wall here. And we're only going to be doing this to give us a reference point. Start with our line tool, go down here to this corner, and we're going to make it 0.2 centimeters, which is 2 millimeters wide, and just finish the sketch. We're going to create one more sketch here, which is going to be our tool that we use to make the beadboard effect. And we're going to create a sketch again, and this time we are going to be sketching on this plane. Now you notice it flipped everything around. It always likes to have the view, you know, what it considers to be proper. I'm sure there's probably a way to turn that off. I don't know how to do it. If anybody does, let me know, would you? Anyhow, I'm going to flip it back here the way I had it, the way I liked it. Zoom in a little bit. And again, we are going to use the line tool, and we are going to start working on this point where we stopped at 2 millimeters wide. Let's place our first point. I'll make it a little bit wide so we have a decent groove. Now come down here to our second point. And then we'll join these 2 points. And there is our horrible looking triangle. And again, it doesn't matter. You don't have to make it exactly like this. You probably can unless you pause it and read all the angles off, but that's pointless. So we're just going to actually extrude this triangle. So E for extrude. Come down here and click the triangle, and again just grab it, start pulling it up a little bit. Come here to the top and extrude it all the way to the top. Make sure operation is a new body. Click OK. Now I'm going to get rid of this line. We do not need it any longer. Now there are different ways that you could create more tools across this back wall to make our beadboard. One of those ways is you could grab the Move Copy tool, select this item, create a copy, and drag it over, 2 millimeters and continue on and on and on. That's just time consuming. There's a much easier way to do it than that, so let's cancel this. First thing we are going to need to do though is we are going to need to create another sketch, and we're going to create a sketch on this back wall. And we're going to take the line tool and just go from this corner all the way to this corner and finish our sketch. That is going to be a path, and I'll show you here right now what we're doing. Go back up here to create, go down here to pattern, and we're going to create a pattern on path. So you can make sure that you grab this whole thing when you select it, not just a side. See right here, I only selected this end piece here, and that will not work. Just like when we were doing the roof, you make sure everything is highlighted. Now the whole tool, it's an object, it's the tool, the pattern, or whatever you want to call it, is selected. Come up here and click on select path, and we're going to select that path we just created. Now we don't want this to be extent. If we do extent, it's just going to make multiple copies at, well, like for example, I'll just show you. If we grab it like this, it's going to start with 3 copies, and you see as I keep going, it's just going to become wider and wider. We don't want to do that. So let's do this again, and I'll show you what we need to do. We need to change that extent to spacing, and we know our spacing is 2 millimeters. And we need to make more than just 3, so we can just hit this arrow up and continue across. Once we have enough of them, we just select OK. And there are all of our tools. Now here comes the fun part. We're going to select all these tools at one time. You come up here to our little browser window, click on the first one, hold down Shift, click on the last one, it selects all of them. Now we want a top-down view so we can see what we're doing. We want to move these. This is how we make our indentations. So we're going to grab this arrow and we're going to move these in. Now I am going to exaggerate this just a bit much, only because again we are working in N scale and we are working with an FDM printer with a 0.4 millimeter of a nozzle. So if we make it look really realistic like this, it probably will not show up. So we're going to make it a little bit deeper and select OK. Here comes the point of always trying to design on an origin as your center point, because yes, we are going to mirror these to the other side. So click Create, down to Mirror. Our objects, again, select those like this. Our mirror plane is going to be this plane. And click OK. Now I'm going to do one more thing, just so we have the same shape on the end walls. Create, mirror again. We're only going to select the original set. Mirror plane. This time I'm going to select it over here. Actually, that didn't work the way I wanted it. Never mind that one. What I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to grab our Move Copy tool. I'm going to grab one of these, make a copy, and just move it over here out of the way. That way we have our shape. See, even I forget how I'm doing things at times. Alright, now here comes the fun part. Let's make this beadboard. So we are going to combine these. Now normally it says join like that, but what we're going to be doing this time is we're going to be cutting into this body. So our target body is the building itself. Now our tool bodies are all of these, say of course the one that I just took out, and what our operation is going to be is cut. It turns all those red, just like how we created the windows and the door. Make sure everything's good to go. We do not need to keep these tools, so we'll select OK. And there is our indentations for our beadboard. Again, as I said, that is quite substantial. Actually, that might be too much now I'm looking at it. Let us do a little measurement and see what it looks like here, because we can do that. Maybe we can do that. I'll turn the sketches off so they're out of the way here. It's a third of a millimeter. That's still under 0.4. So that's going to show up pretty decent on our printer, so I'm going to leave that go. Always got to check things. Now to start on these sides here. First thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to select this item and I want to spin it around. So we're going to grab it, look from a top-down view, and just spin this around 90 degrees. There we go. And again, we are going to create a sketch on this back, on the wall, actually the side wall here. Start with our line on this corner. We're going to do 0.2 of a millimeter. Then we are going to go finish that sketch. Use our line tool. We're going to line this edge right here. Let me turn the sketches back on so we can see what we're doing. That brought it right up to that, which was a mistake, but that's easily fixed. Just select OK. Grab our Move Copy tool. We'll just grab this thing. Not like that, actually. Grab it here. Zoom out so we can see what we're doing. And we're just going to rotate it. Now we got it lined up with this edge here. Yeah, I shouldn't have done it quite like that, but it worked. It served its purpose. Again, we'll hit Align, grab that edge. This time we're going to select just the side wall, and it messed it up again. Because I'm a goober. We'll just grab it and we'll just move it. Let's make it easy on us, right? That'll work. That'll work just fine. Like I said, I'm not a Fusion 360 expert. Now you guys, I'm sure, believe me. Get rid of this little registration line here. We don't need it. Actually, we don't need this one anymore either. Now I want to grab the top of this and extend it past this peak. So again, we're going to use that press pull tool that we've used before for the roof. Come down here and gotta zoom in a little bit so I can get a hold of that. Just grab it. Make sure it's higher than that peak, which it is. Okay. Alright, take a breath now. Again, we are going to create a sketch on the side wall here. We'll use the line tool. That corner to that corner. Finish sketch. And we are going to, again, use a pattern. So we will make sure we select this entire item. Select our path. Again, change it to spacing. 2 millimeters. And this being a square building, we noticed it was 11 for the back and the front. And again, we want to move these into the side, just as we did this part here. And as we did for the other ones, we are going to create a mirror. And as we did before, we are going to cut these into the walls. And there is our bead board. Now the only bad thing about doing it this way, take that roof off, is going to be our trim. As you can see right through that trim. Now the cool thing is though, we can easily fix that. We can turn our shed body off for a moment. We can use our press pull tool, and we can grab the back sides of all of those trim pieces, and we can move them in, let's say, 0.1, that's too much. Let's do 0.05 of a millimeter. And enter. Turn our shed body back on, and there we go. Now we could have tried to guess this to begin with, but I did not know how deep I was going to make these grooves, and neither will you until you do it, so that's another reason why we do not combine everything until the very end. Okay, now that we have that taken care of, we can do our corner trim pieces. The cool thing about doing a square item like this, you only have to do one corner trim piece. Again, we are going to start with a sketch. We're going to sketch on whatever corner you want to start with. I'm going to use a 2-point triangle this time. Let's think about this. How wide do we want this to be? Well, if we make it 0.05, a millimeter, 0.05, and all the way down that way. Now let's extrude this. Again, let's do 0.05, which is pretty thick actually, isn't it? Let's bump that down to 0.03. We should be able to get away with printing it like that only because it is a part of the main building itself. But we want it to be a new body, of course. Now we are going to create a sketch on this corner here. We're going to do a 2-point rectangle again. .05 is fine. We're going to go down to here. We'll extrude this out, 0.03. That looks weird, but we'll fix that here in just a second. We're going to press pull this to match up with that line. And there is our corner piece. And no, we're not quite finished yet. As you can see, it's perfectly flush there, but it is not flush here. I think I may have made a mistake. I surely did. I let that join. .03. New body, please. Thank you. press pull. Okay. Now we get two pieces. Now we can combine these two together. And then I see the operation state is cut. We don't want that. We want join. Okay, now we got that together and it's a new body. Now we could leave it like that. Or we could bring it up here to this, which is what I do believe I'm going to do, because we'll fix that here in just a minute with the roof. I'll show you how we do that. And click OK. Now here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn the roof back on. You can see it's sitting on top of that. So you know what we're going to do now? We're going to do combine. Our target body is this corner piece. Our tool body is the roof. Now here's what you gotta make sure you do. We want to do cut, but you want to keep the tools, and we don't lose your roof. And click OK. Now let's turn this roof off. And there you go. There's your perfectly slanted corner to match your roof line. Now we need to do the other three corners, and you guessed it, we are going to mirror them. So create, mirror. I'm going to select this corner, our mirror plane, select that one first, it's a new body, and it automatically turns it the correct way. Again, mirror, select this one again, our mirror plane. This time we're going to select this corner, new body, and one last time, create, mirror. This time we're going to use this as our object. Now mirror plane again is going to be this side, new body, and that is it, folks. Let's turn everything on real quick here. And there is our little N-scale shed. Now we need to do some housekeeping, so we need to take this apart so we know how we're going to print it. Okay, I know the roof is going to be a separate piece. I know the shed door is going to be a separate piece. Everything else we're going to be printing as one piece. So now that we are done, we are going to combine everything together. So combine, our target body is our shed body. Make sure operation is join. Our tool bodies are going to be everything else. You see how I did that? I just left click and drag to left and selected everything else. But always make sure you select your target body first so that it keeps the naming correct. Click OK. The bad thing about that is it makes copies when you do that, which I guess is a good thing. Alright, next thing you need to do is you need to export these. You can't just save them. So you come up here, and let me back up just a second. When you export them, you want to export them as how you're going to print them. Like this shed body, we are printing as one piece. So I'm going to export this with everything else turned off. So we come up here to our file, export, and here's where you want to export it to. Export it to the desktop and create a new folder, call it shed. And we're going to name this just shed body. And you want to change this from an Autodesk file, scroll down to an STL file, .stl, and click on export. It takes a second for the export window to pop up here. There we go. Now once that is started, I always like to wait until this actually starts so there's no confusion. And of course it's going to take forever this time, huh? Alright, well, we're just going to move on. Hide your shed body. Next thing we're going to do is the roof. Again, we are going to go to export. And it saves your location. We're going to call it shed roof. Again, make sure it is an STL file, .stl, and export. There we go. Turn the roof off. And the only other thing that we are going to be printing separately is the shed door. And again, make sure you select .stl. Export. Alright everyone, that is the end of the tutorial of designing our little N-scale shed. As always, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and definitely give me a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. It always helps with getting my videos out there. YouTube likes to, push some videos on top that get a lot of likes and thumbs up. So do that for me. In our next video, we're going to do a time lapse of this building being printed, and we'll get into finishing it. It won't be a very overly dramatized finishing. We've done that so many times. We're just going to get it finished so you can see what the end product looks like. But until then, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Well everyone, I thought that we were finished designing this little shed. Last time I left you just a moment ago, we had exported all three pieces, the roof, the shed body, and the door. I have since printed them, and I have run across a little issue. The roof printed just fine and the shed body printed just fine. However, the door did not. And when I was designing this door, I had a feeling that it may not print as well as I had hoped it would. The problem we have are the door panels themselves. Even though they look really good on here, this door being N-scale, being so small, that these door panels did not even show up on this print at all. So what we're going to do is I'm going to completely and totally redesign this door itself, and we're going to over design it or make it a little thicker than what it normally would be, in hopes that it will get a much better print. So since everything's still surrounding the origin, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the back of this door, and we are just going to create a sketch on the door itself, just a regular old rectangle from one corner to the other corner. That way we have the exact dimension of this door. Now let's extrude that. Now we're going to extrude it to the front. That way this door, the new door, will sit in the same position as the original door. So we just start grabbing and dragging and just click the front of this door. We are going to create a new body. Okay. Now let's turn off the original shed door. Now let's name this one New Door. And now let's work on the front of it here. Plus, after looking at that door, I realized, a 4-panel door just does not look right on a shed, so we're going to make more of a shed door here. That was my error. Again, we're going to start with create a sketch, and we're going to sketch on the front of this door like we did before. Create another rectangle from corner to corner. And this time we are going to use our offset. And let's do 0.08. That's good. That's double the width of your standard FDM printer nozzle, anyways. Now let's extrude this out. Now I'm going to extrude it out, I think, 0.06 of a millimeter. And as always, a new body. That looks good. Now, even though this door does not sit on the origin itself, over there's the origin point, we can still use this door and find the center point, which is pretty cool for the next part here. Create another sketch, create it on the door itself, not on the ridge or rim or outline of the door, but on the door itself. Now this time let's do a center point rectangle, and like we did when we were designing the peak, we're going to go down until we find kind of the center of the door, scroll over, and intersect. There we go. We'll start dragging it out. So let's see here. Let's make this 0.08 as well. We'll extrude this as well. 0.06, the same as the rest, a new body. That works. Now what we're going to do to save a little bit of time here, we're just going to copy this. And we are going to extend it by just pulling it out. Overextend it because we can always fix this here in a minute. Now what we want to do is what I'm getting at is I'm going to be making crosses here in the bottom of the door, so we want to rotate this. So we'll grab this and bring it over here. Grab it, we'll start rotating it. Moving it. That looks pretty good. Again, we'll just use the press pull. Just shove this back down in here. Do the same for the other side. Now we're just going to make a copy of this. Since it's in the center, we should just be able to rotate the copy. That looks pretty good. Now let's combine it all. And there is our new shed door. Let's bring the shed and the roof back out and see what it looks like. There we go. That looks much better. That looks more like a real shed door than the other one anyways. So all there's left to do is to export this door and print it off and see if it works. I'm sure it will. So just like before, turn off everything, or hide everything, not turn off, but hide everything you don't want to export. Export, still go into shed. Let's type in new door. Make sure you select STL as the file extension and export. Okay, well, I already said give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'm going to say it one more time. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And next we'll get downstairs and we'll get this thing finished printing and get some paint on it, and we'll go from there.